Good morning, great Americans. It's another great American video from the bunker in Kentucky. As you know, our ongoing theme through the midterm elections and the next presidential election is stay the course. Stay the course. Trump is doing fantastic. The media, the fake news media, the legacy media is trying to tear him down in every possible way with just tiny little worthless little observations, little details, stuff. But the big things are all working. And so stay the course. You want to stand by Trump. Make sure you stand by Trump in the midterm elections and also in the next presidential election if he doesn't run again. Then at least we need to elect someone who will continue the Make America Great Again policies that are doing so well. Well, for the first time ever, I am going to provide you with about a 5-minute clip of a commentator named Mark Halperin. This man, the only reason I'm doing this, I never do this. The only reason I'm doing this is um, because he just nails it. I mean, he nails it in a very fair way. He really comments on four major pillars that are super important why Trump is so successful and how good he's doing. And he's a little critical too. He says even though these are important things that he has accomplished that no other president has been able to accomplish, he's critical too. He says that he's done them in such a way with maybe some unnecessary language, a little grandstanding, and a little theatrics, perhaps that were a little over the top. But he says still, despite the little sideshows here and there, they are huge, they are fundamental, they are popular, they are keeping his promises, and that's why they're working. And then he goes on to comment about how on every single thing the Democrats have no alternative and they have no good answers. All they do is criticize, and like I said, they try to find just little goofy details to try and poke holes in it, and they're failing. And then he goes on to mention how if the same thing is happening in Europe, almost the mood is right, the people are upset, the people want the same changes, they have many of the same issues, but they don't have their Trump. The European nations do not have the aggressive, powerful, determined leader that we have in Trump to be able to get these issues across the finish line. So while Trump is massively succeeding here in crushing the Democrat Party, in Europe, their versions of the Democrat Party are weak. They're losing, but they haven't been crushed yet because the conservative sides in Europe do not have someone of such colossal determination and willpower that Trump has to really push this stuff through. So God bless Trump for that. And that's why we're saying to stay the course. So please watch this. It's about 5 minutes of Mark Halperin discussing these issues.
I think there are four things at least that are objectively in the interest of the United States. One would be immigration, controlling the border. Trump has clearly in this area, and all four of the areas I'm going to list, he's clearly done some things that people rightly say are overstep, that these policies have some downsides. But controlling the border is something that's in the national interest, something a majority of the Americans want. Trump has created a spectacle, but he's also shifted the paradigm on what it takes to close the border and how effective it can be. Number two, tariffs. Okay. Trump has changed the paradigm there too. Lots of these countries now are doing what the United States wants. The coverage this week of the deal with the EU, favorable to the United States, favorable to Trump. Even news organizations that don't normally say positive things about Trump have said this is in the United States' interest. Trump got a good deal out of this. And again, the goal is clear. He wants to re-engineer global trade by leveraging the U.S. market and other American advantages without hurting the American or global economy. Right now, that appears on track. It's early. These deals are not fleshed out yet. But I'll say again, this is another area of a Trump achievement in the national interest. Other presidents didn't do it, just like closing the border. And Democrats just pretend it's just a total failure. Same with number three, controlling the size of the workforce. Trump has turbocharged the capacity of a White House to control the size of the bureaucracy. He already has eliminated a lot of positions. He plans to eliminate more. This concept that we've had for decades that the federal government's just going to keep growing, he's figured out a way to change that. Again, popular, not in every respect, overreach in some areas, but this is another area that Democrats are simply criticizing. Finally, as I mentioned before, NATO, where Trump has ensured that terms and conditions apply now to be a member. He's changed the relationship from one where the European countries were free riding and freeloading to one now that's more transactional. It's a post globalist arrangement in which the alliance can live on, but on terms that are far more favorable to the United States. Now, again, I say again, in each case, there are objectively downsides to what Trump has done. But I'll say also in each case that overall, these directionally are positive and popular. And no other recent president has had the requisite desire or drive to change the status quo in such a fundamental way. In this country, the Democrats simply accentuate the downsides of these achievements. They find and highlight the weak links, and there are weak links, rather than grappling with what's actually happening, that I think is more important. That the trends in this country, in terms of public opinion, have fueled Trump's rise in capacity to get stuff done. Trump has understood where public opinion was on these issues and others. And the Democratic Party has been and largely remains clueless. Okay. This is to me fundamental if you're thinking about the connection between what Trump has done and what's happened with the Democratic Party. And it's not just in the United States. Trump has read the mood of where things are and these issues and others. And the Democrats have failed. The American left has failed on these and other issues. So if you look at Europe and the other industrialized democracies in the West, you see the same conditions that have grown over decades that have caused a rebellion against the parties on the left, out of control mass migration, out of control crime, the dominant influence of wokeness in all sorts of cultural institutions, the LGBTQ changes that many have seen as overreach, particularly in the area of trans, censorship, overregulation, cancellation, neo-socialism, all these things exist in other countries. Kim Strassel has written about what's happened in the United States in the Wall Street Journal. Very good focus that most Democrats haven't even thought about. Open borders, unrestrained spending, supports for teachers' unions when they're acting antithetical to the interest of our kids, an obsessive focus on climate change, bashing the police, being against Israel, the dominance of identity politics. All of this has caused Democrats in this country to lose support from demographic groups, independent of Donald Trump, although Trump has taken advantage of that. Imagine if the Republicans rather, were losing support from interest groups that had long been a bedrock of their electoral success. Imagine if the reverse were happening, how much the media would cover it. This is a massive story. Democrats losing support from voters of color, from younger voters, massive. Now, Trump is singular. All these other industrialized democracies, they have the same issues. But what's different is they haven't found their version of Trump. There have been kind of poor man's versions of Trump, but they haven't succeeded. They haven't had Trump's skill. They haven't had Trump's level of aggressiveness, tough enough and determined enough to take on the old order. So what's happened to these other countries with their left parties, their equivalents of the Democratic Party, is they're weaker than they were before, but they're not crushed. They haven't declined as precipitously in most cases the way the Democratic Party has, who is now as low as they've been in poll after poll.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I thought that was an excellent commentary, right on the money. I haven't heard it encapsulated and right on the money. Is that right on the money, man? Right on the money. And that's why, as I said at the beginning of the video, we need to stay the course. I'm putting a link into the description of this video, called "Stay the Course." Why Trump has earned our respect and our loyalty by keeping all his promises and literally saving America. Literally. And literally, man, I mean, if Kamala or Biden had been in office, we were on the edge of the abyss for many issues. Literally, man, and that's not hyperbole. That's for real. So Trump has literally saved America, and he's making America great. And if you listen to Mark Halperin, these fundamental, necessary changes. And man, we're only like what are we, 7 months into it? 6, 7, 8 months into it? More to come. Um, so stay the course. Stand by Trump because he is standing by you. And as I say in all my videos, whatever you did in 2024 to help Trump get elected, if you were a volunteer, you were donating, you were part of a group, uh, making phone calls, whatever you were doing, you need to triple your efforts in 2026 to make sure Trump has a Congress that'll work with him. And then you need to quadruple your efforts in 2028 to make sure that some Democrat doesn't sweep into the White House and just destroy everything we've accomplished. We are in a civil war, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to end. Trump's election was a major first victory in this civil war, but it's not going to end. And the Democrats are going to get violent. We've seen them getting violent. Look what happened when Elon Musk uncovered their corruption. They went violent. They're lighting fire to his factories. They're destroying cars. They are a violent mob. The Democrat Party is a violent criminal entity, which needs to be actually made illegal. I got a video on that too. I'll put a link in the description. So stay the course. That's the theme. Please share this video with your friends. Please share it on your social media. Please check out our other videos and go to our Substack page. And I will see you in the next great American video. Adios, muchachos.